Live.tv. This is the show where we help parents with engaging in important topics around parenting. Today, we have a special treat for you. We're going to talk about drug awareness, which is such an important topic and one many parents have talked to me about and had questions about. And I was able to find a special guest, Chantal Vallerand, the Executive Director of Drug Free Kids Canada, where families come for help. Chantal, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
First question I wanted to ask is, what advice would you give to children and to parents about drugs?
That's a great question. I would, start by saying educate yourself and know the risk with substance use. Approach the subject with curiosity as a parent. Very important that you don't start from a point of view of wanting to lecture or wanting to impose. Really, if you want to start a conversation and a dialogue where your kid will feel at ease to come with questions, interrogations, if they feel peer pressure, for example, if you want them to come to you, you have to be able to showcase that openness to be able to look at the questions from an angle, as I said, of curiosity and not lecturing. But at the end of the day, what you want is your kids to know the risk associated with usage of different substances, of mixing different substances, because at the end of the day, you want your kids to make informed decisions. Again, it has to be age appropriate, so it all depends on how old your kids are. We have resources on our website that can support parents to really approach the subject depending on how old their kids are. But the earlier the better. At the end of the day, you want to establish a good foundation of trust and authenticity and openness and respect at an early stage so that when your kids are confronted with making those kind of decisions about usage, they know they can come to you and share their doubts or concerns.
I love that you mentioned about foundation. I'm an author of the Lenny Superbook, which is a book all about helping parents have chats with kids. And that's what it's about, building foundation, open-ended questions, and make them regular and make them fun. So thank you. I really appreciated that answer.
I'm glad we share the same point of view.
Yeah. What if you suspect your child may be using drugs? Would the conversation be different?
Yes and no. I would say still approach the subject with an open heart and with your ears open. You're there to support, you're there to guide. But as soon as your kid, if they are in fact using, feel judged, the stigma attached with usage is going to come right up, and they're going to feel like they're not, that they can come to you. I completely understand parents that, would maybe get into a panic state if all of a sudden they think that their kids are experiencing problematic use. I'm the executive director of Drug Free Kids, so I talk to a lot of parents, but I'm a parent myself of a 14-year-old and a 16-year-old. So I know what that feels like. I know that, you want your kids to be healthy. You want your kids to make the right decisions, but ultimately you won't be there when they're making those decisions, most likely, right? They're going to be at a party, they're going to be at school, they're going to be at any event, and they're going to be presented with the opportunity to decide for themselves if they're going to use or not. By that time, hopefully you have had those conversations, you have talked about the risk, you have talked about what's, the best decision they can make for themselves. So hopefully they'll make those decisions in an informed way. Having said that, if they're already using, I would, recommend parents approach their kids and talk to them about the fact that they're concerned, that they're worried. These are the words that I would use instead of saying disappointed, for example. You're concerned because you love them and you want them healthy, and that's the angle that you're going to go with, right? So I'm concerned because I think that, you may not be making healthy decisions. Is this a coping mechanism for you? Being able to explore, going beyond the, oh my God, I don't want you to do this. And being able to talk about why, the frequency, is this experimentation? At the end of the day, the average age of experimentation with alcohol with our teens in Canada is 13, and it's 14 for cannabis. So let's be realistic, right? So let's start the conversation early, but let's being able to say, Is this experimentation? Is this in the social setting? There's a difference between a kid experimenting with alcohol in a social context where he thinks that he has made safe, decisions around it, about a safe ride home, that he knows what he's using, and a kid who's going to confide that, they're using cannabis on their own in the morning before going to school because they're anxious. So putting everything into context and being able to position yourself as somebody who's there to support them.
Exactly. An interesting note is how I've come to discover Drug-Free Kids Canada was many parents asked me about drugs, and that would come up. So I did a lot of research on different websites, and I was really impressed with your website and the resources that you offered. So that's why I reached out to have a discussion. And so could you tell us a little bit about your organization and your website and some of the services you do offer parents?
For sure, and thank you for offering me the opportunity to be able to share that with parents. So we have several resources, among which we have this, Cannabis Talk Kit. Oh, it's blurry, you can't see it, but the Cannabis Talk Kit can be downloaded on our website. And the Cannabis Talk Kit, when I was talking about at the beginning, educate yourself, know the risk. As a parent, sometimes it can be intimidating because you're afraid that you don't know enough or what you know may not be accurate. All of our information was vetted either by Health Canada or the Canadian Centre on Substance Use and Addiction. We have an advisory council of experts in the field that can provide evidence-based and fact-based information so that parents can be at ease to know, okay, I'm getting the right information. But once you have that, what do you do with it? How do you put that in a conversation? How do we make that relatable? So we have a bunch of scenarios for parents. What if your kids say, well, what about you? Are you smoking pot? If this legal, why is this bad for me? This is natural. It shouldn't be bad for me. Like being able to not feel like you're being put in an ambush and having a little bit of help in terms of scenarios, but also it gives you, as I said, facts and stats on the prevalence. It's not about inducing fear. It's about knowing what's out there and being informed and sharing this information with the kids. We're here to support parents wherever they are in their journey. So it could be a parent of a young kid that, is about to start high school, or they haven't experienced yet with any substances, haven't been asked to go to parties, but the parents want to be ready. We have information for that. We also have information for maybe parents that their kids have already started using. We have the Parent Support Hub. So we have found through the pandemic that some parents need more support, more direct support when it comes to mental health. There's a correlation between mental health and substance use. And unfortunately, right now, across Canada, there's really long waiting lists to get access to public support help for mental health. You can wait 12 to 24 months to see a psychologist with a kid. On our website, you can go and chat with a social worker who can support you and where you are and provide resources. But if the need is there, they can actually refer you to a psychologist, and you can have up to 5 free sessions with a psychologist to be able to fill in that gap. And that's in both French and English. There's a phone line, there's a chat line. That's all on our website for parents to be able to get the help they need in a timely manner.
That's excellent. That's so important. And because you're right, it is hard to get resources for mental health for your child or even for yourself. So with just to clarify, the parents and or the children could use it, whoever.
Yeah, well, the initial gateway is usually the parent, but if there's a need be with the consent of the parent,
yes,
then the kid can actually, and it's going to be confidential, so meaning the kid can speak at ease with somebody and it's not going to be shared, but the parent will be aware that the kid is accessing. There's other great resources for kids out there. The Kids Helpline is one of them, but we found that for families, when it comes to specifically substance use and mental health, there was a lack of available resource and a lack of, unfortunately, public funded psychology help. So we're capable of doing that with the help of TELUS. TELUS was able to fund us to be able to do this.
That is wonderful to hear. I'm so happy that you've met this need.
Yes.
Here's a question that comes up. The first time I heard it, it drew fear into my heart when I heard the question, and I can't imagine a parent going through it. Worried about what do you do when you find out your child is doing drugs? Obviously, people are going to want you to say who the supplier is or who else is involved. You fear for your child's safety, for retribution, but you also want to help them. I can't imagine being in that, but many parents find themselves in that situation. What advice would you have?
At the end of the day, you are the best advocate for your kid. And that's what you have to position yourself as, the best advocate for your kid. You want them to be safe. You want them to be healthy. So that means that your kid has to be able to be in a trustworthy relationship with you to be able to share information. The first question I would ask before asking who the drug supplier is and if that's the avenue that you want to go in is there any reason why you would fear, is there any direct threat to you for your health, for your safety when it comes to drug supply? So just having a general appreciation of, is there an immediate threat so you can be, again, a strong advocate for them? It's hard to say, but I would steer clear of trying to find where are you getting this to more as to why are you using and how are you using. Make sure that your kid is making safe decisions. Make sure that your kid knows that it's coming from that place so that eventually they may be able to share more information with you. It's as I said, it's better to focus on the kid right away. Make sure that the kid has all the resources necessary to be safe, to be healthy. And I can appreciate that the kid's going to feel that they may be at a threat if they share that information. So, be an advocate for them and find out how best you can support them, because that's what it is. The parent is there to support the kid in the best way that they can.
Excellent. Wonderful. Thank you. In closing, do you have any general advice for parents? Any words of encouragement?
Yes. Hang in there. Be patient. We have, when parents come to our website, they'll see our campaign that's running right now. And the theme of the campaign is keep talking. So as parent, when you have teens, you may think, what's the point? They're not listening to me. Their friends are more important. Their cell phone is more important. They get more information from TikTok than from me. Why should I bother? It does matter. What you say does matter. Kids do pay attention. We do a tracking study every second year to track change in attitudes and behavior and understand kids. So we do it with kids and adults. At the end of the day, when we ask kids, who's your reliable source of information when it comes to drugs? The key word here is reliable. Yeah. Kids say, exactly, like at the same level as school, they'll trust the information that they get from school, but they'll trust the information that they get from their parents. And that comes before friends, and it comes before social media. So kids will understand that you come from a place of love and from a place of concern, but it may not feel like it as a parent. So that's why I'm saying to parents, hang in there and be patient. You're not alone. And kids do listen. So it does matter. So keep at it.
I just have to circle back to something you said earlier about building the foundation, because I agree with that. And your theme has been consistent all the way through: conversation, consistency, and foundation. So thank you. Special thank you to yourself and to everyone in your organization for providing this information to parents and to the help that you provide them and the support in a world where it is hard to find that support. If you have any questions on this topic, please feel free to reach out to drugfreekidscanada.org, or you can leave a comment in our show notes. We're happy to pass those questions on, but please talk to someone. There is a lot of support. There's a lot of people who care. There's people in the community. Just talk to someone. And I think that's so important. Chantal, again, thank you so much for doing this. I think you have a wonderful organization. Hope to have you back again someday. And
Anytime.
That we're able to talk a little bit more. And for everyone out there, until the next show, as I always like to say, my hood is parenthood. Take care and have a good day. Thanks.